the laws that are currently in place can actually prevent you from coming back for like a minimum of 10 years if you overstay certain visas and so on and so forth. I think right now is a really, really important time that people that are dealing with immigration in particular reach out to lawyers that can really help you navigate the current laws that are in place. Cops in New York pulled me over. They literally like said, "Oh, you're not allowed to have your car tinted." I was like, and I was an asshole. Like, this is another instance where I was an asshole. I wasn't a lawyer yet, but I was a real asshole. And I literally was like, "Look at my fucking license plate." And I shouldn't have said that. I reacted. I definitely overreacted.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Only Lawsuits podcast, where we cover lawsuits going on around the country and moments in pop culture. Mike, why don't you get us started? Look, FYI, before this episode started, Mike, just put on some random clip that has essentially thrown off
the entire workflow.
Yeah, he's thrown off the entire workflow.
Thrown off the balance a little.
We'll talk about it in the last part of the episode.
And we'll talk about it at the very, very end if there's time. But
all right. Well, so let's talk about the first thing that I think we should talk about is obviously something that's going to be affecting us for the next 4 years or so, right? The election. Trump is starting to pick his appointees. I know you guys know a little bit of the appointees, so I'll let you take over. What appointees do you have knowledge of, and kind of what do you know about them?
I think he was pretty smart this time around in regards to the way that he wants to now run his Oval Office, because I think a mistake that he made the first time around was that he didn't have people loyal to him. Now, to be honest, I don't think that it is maybe the most bipartisan choice to choose people who are going to be completely loyal. But everybody that he's chosen thus far, they're known to be, Trump loyalists. So Kristi Noem, Pete Horsgrath. I don't know if I'm enunciating his name correctly. We'll put all the appointees up on screen. Mike Huckabee as the ambassador to Israel. Pete Horsgrath, he's actually a Fox News host. Yeah. He has previous combat experience, and I don't know if he has global political experience, but he's someone that he appointed, and then all of them are Trump loyalists. So.
What about you?
Marco Rubio, Elon, Vivek Ramaswamy. I don't know. I agree with what you're saying as to the loyalists, but I have to say, like, for example, I can tell like Elon's not there as a loyalist per se because he agrees with Trump. It's because it's opportunistic, right? It serves their agenda right now. So I don't think it's going to be completely like, oh, we're going to do what Trump wants no matter what.
Well, listen, I guarantee you Elon's going to definitely get some government contracts based off this. So
for sure.
Does it help? Does it benefit him? Yes, 100%. I do think it's funny because I was looking into the Doge department of
Dogecoin?
No, the Elon and Vivek department that they were appointed to. It was called like Department of Economic Efficiency or something.
A Department of Government Efficiency.
Yeah, Department of Government Efficiency, Doge. And like, so what's funny is right beforehand, I don't know if everyone still knows about Dogecoin, but Doge started spiking. And dude, I've held on to my shares for Doge, and I made a little bit of money off the spike.
No way.
I swear to God, I did. Last time I Doge spiked the way it did, I made enough money to go buy my 2006 Tundra that I drove around for like a year and a half, and I loved that thing. It was my Doge truck. And so I miss that truck a lot still, actually.
Well, Trump has been good for the crypto market. I mean, the crypto market has taken off. Bitcoin is at an all-time high.
Yeah, he did a transaction with Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Well, I think, and this is why I think, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting because the people the people that are playing with Trump this time, I think are going to like really change the way everything gets dealt with. I think like you look at Elon, for instance, I think he's going to integrate some of his businesses concepts for like, you know, government efficiency, such as utilizing satellite, you know, technology for communications, utilizing more quicker workflows, more robotics in government. And you know what? If you think about that, just with him, for instance, like I watched a video on online of like some of the robot dogs in Mar-a-Lago, and bro, like honestly, I think if there's one area I would be comfortable robots replacing people and AI taking control over stuff, it would probably be in the government, because there's a lot of people in government that literally just are a waste of taxpayer dollars. So I do think, you know, certain people that are coming in, I think Trump is being smarter with his approach. I do agree with you. He's hiring a bunch of loyalists, but I think the one thing that he has campaigned under, and he's really approaching it differently this time, is he's doing this whole like unity olive branch thing. I think you talked about him going to meet with Biden today, and everyone promising a peaceful transition over to it. But I think realistically, one of the reasons why is like he's taking a more unified approach. And what's scary is I think even the Democrats know they have to play ball right now, because with the new appointees and with them controlling both the House and the Senate, pretty much, I think they're almost on lock with not only the House and the Senate. I mean, he can pretty much do what he wants for the next 2 years.
No, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. I think it's a changing tide. You know, it's a red wave, especially during this election cycle. So whether you agree with the politics or not, Trump has a lot of authority to do as he pleases. I mean, with people like Elon Musk, Vivek Ramaswamy, Mike Huckabee, Kristi Noem, and, you know, all of the others, you know, Marco Rubio, these are all people that have been very vocal supporters of him. I know Trump's main campaign promise is to drain the swamp. Well, let's be honest and transparent here. All of his appointees so far are people that are a part of the swamp. So even though they are supporters of him and the stuff that he's trying to do, I think they're also part of the problem. I am excited to see what people like Tulsi Gabbard and Robert F. Kennedy Jr. do, and what roles they take in this current administration. And in regards to the olive branch, I mean, shout out to Sleepy Joe. You know, I mean, I know we don't agree with everything that his administration, you know, did, but the fact that he extended the olive branch in the first place to Trump, it really just goes to show you that, look, he believes in democracy. I wonder how that conversation went, and if they joked about them being 1v1 now, like, you know, each of them has a victory, and maybe they'll do a rematch.
They were probably talking about their golf game.
Yeah.
Well, I think it'd be funny. Like, I would love to have, I hope and pray to God they had like a videographer there just on Trump's side, because I can see Trump playing into that, like doing like a hype reel with like, you know, AC/DC playing, right? And Thunderstruck hits, and then he just pops open the door. I'm back, bitches, you know, and it's just like, that'd be some strong. Like literally right after he gets inaugurated, bam, bam, that comes on the commercial, dude.
He's not Hulk Hogan.
But he had Hulk Hogan.
He did.
He did have Hulk Hogan. So is he Hulk Hogan?
No.
He is the Hulk Hogan of presidents, baby.
I could see that.
Yeah.
I gotta assume that he's probably, you know, this is probably one of like the greatest victories, whether it be in real estate or politics, that he could have ever had. You know, people counting him out, and, you know, him losing in 2020. Yes, Trump, you did lose in 2020. But, you know, now that he's coming back into office and knows that he gets a second chance to implement his agenda the way that he wants, I think he's probably on cloud nine.
Well, let's talk about some of the the new laws so obviously with new appointees and with him controlling the House and the Senate, well, not him, but the Republican Party controlling the House and Senate, we are in for a huge wake up. And then also you have the judicial branch, which was a little weird. I don't know, before we segue into some of the law change, did you hear about, there was an issue, like, I think I heard about it last week, where they were trying to get one of the Supreme Court Justices Sotomayor to like step down because they were going to try to put Kamala there supposedly before she left.
Just like that CNN news host made the suggestion that Kamala should be appointed president.
Yeah, like Kamala just needs to get on LinkedIn or Indeed, bro. Like, you're about to be out of a job, motherfucker.
Look, man, she ran a very condensed campaign. She had just over 100 days
you could say
to
it was
run.
horrible. It was a horrible campaign.
Yes. Let's be
America, like literally.
America deserved better.
America deserved better. America deserved better.
And we say that because look at the popular vote.
Yeah.
America said she ran a bad campaign.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
it's not political. It's not like even a political bias at this point. Literally, a majority of Americans stated this, right? A majority of Americans have voiced their opinions. Like, look, we don't want this left-wing extremism. And it's crazy that, like Trump is the new moderate. Like, it's weird, but
he learned from his mistakes, like from just coming into the presidency as a celebrity to now actually understanding some policies, some politics, how a bill becomes a law, because that's not even something he knew when he was president. He thought he could just sign off on whatever and he could just make people go to war. He didn't understand the intricacies of government. So now the way that he's appointing people, at least it shows growth.
I think this time around, you got it. You hit it 100%. He's going to be, I think he's going to be a very, it's going to be interesting. I think he may pull off a really good presidency though.
Yeah, that's still to be determined, but very, very rarely, it's only happened one time in history beforehand, does a president get a second shot.
Yeah.
And the fact that he had 4 years off to see how extreme the progressives got with certain policies they were trying to implement. He now gets to, come in with a clean slate. I am curious and excited to see, what he does, because you hit the nail on the head. I think the Democrats need to understand that the country itself is a lot more moderate than they think it is.
Yeah.
We are progressive in a lot of ways, but we're not looking to push extreme agendas on either side of the coin.
Yeah. And so going into, the second area that I started talking about, there's some exciting law changes that I'm hearing about, especially for
potential law changes.
Potential law changes. I think
alleged.
But I think they are going to go through, because these are something like literally, like earlier this week, Trump started pushing out like little videos on social media. I think his social media game has been like A+, but he's been on social media and he's been doing like little snippets of like what he wants to do. One of the things that got me most excited was the national reciprocity. So in Florida, if you are a concealed weapon holder, you don't need a concealed weapon permit any longer in Florida to conceal a firearm, right? There's other legal, you have to comply with the law to be able to own a firearm and conceal a firearm, meaning like you can't be a felon, so on and so forth. But now you used to have to go get your concealed weapons permit to be able to conceal a weapon and carry it in Florida. Now you don't need to, but Florida state still issues a concealed weapon permit. And the benefits of having a concealed weapon permit is certain states, and I don't know off the top of my head which states, but certain states like Georgia, Alabama, I think, they allow you, if you have a valid Florida concealed weapon permit, you can also conceal carry in that state as well. So I've taken advantage of that because I travel with my firearm. I travel by car a lot and I travel with my firearm a lot, multiple firearms sometimes as well. Right. So I always like to have that safety net, because there's been horror stories of people that have literally tried to, there's a lot of Supreme Court cases in the past few years of people that have got caught in like New York, where they did all the steps they needed to try to legally conceal carry or carry a firearm in, the state like New York. And what happened was they ended up like still arresting them and still charging them with crimes. So it ended up getting appealed to the level where literally the Supreme Court made some good rulings for firearm owners that challenged some of New York's laws. But the bottom line is that like that step to go from, okay, I'm fully legal carrying a firearm, to now I'm a convicted felon and my firearm rights get taken away just because I went to another state that is part of the United States. I thought that was crazy, right? So now with this new reciprocity thing, I don't know what the details are, I don't know how it is, but it's beneficial for people like me. And I think it's consistent with the, constitutional law where, citizens from one state should not be discriminated in another state for, utilizing legal rights, and the reason I say that is I was in New York. I lived in New York for a year and a half, and I had a Lexus that I had registered and I owned here in Florida. Drove it up to New York, and I got pulled over. And one of the things that I knew the law in New York was that as long as your tint is legal in the state that your vehicle is registered in, then you're legally compliant with New York law. Well, my tint was Florida legal. It was 20%. But in New York, the legal standard's way lower. Cops in New York pulled me over. They literally like said, "Oh, you're not allowed to have your car tinted." I was like, and I was an asshole. Like, this is another instance where I was an asshole. I wasn't a lawyer yet, but I was a real asshole. And I literally was like, "Look at my license plate." And I shouldn't have said that. I reacted. I definitely overreacted, and I pulled out the statute. I pulled up the statute and I was like, "Read this statute. You can't give me a ticket." And he's like, "Oh, I will." I was like, "All right, I'll just take it to court." So I ended up taking it to court. I ended up winning. And literally I did everything. But the fact that I had to do all that, it wasted a shit ton of my time. And like, in retrospect, I could have probably just avoided that by being not an asshole, but
yeah,
I'm an asshole. It is what it is. But that's what I'm saying when it comes to the gun laws, reciprocity and not being, I think it's exciting for people like gun owners. What are your thoughts on, obviously, do you conceal carry or anything like that, Farah?
No.
What's your take? What's your take on someone that was legally allowed to own a firearm in one state and being able to take it anywhere in the country?
I don't know. I'm kind of like iffy on that kind of stuff, just because I'm for people having guns to protect themselves, but then I also just feel like there still needs to be better regulation, I think.
I mean, I guess.
I actually agree with Farah. I think that gun ownership
I don't think it should be criminalized.
Yeah, I don't think people should be criminalized or people should be discriminated against for owning guns. I think legally
owning guns.
Okay, for legally owning guns. Look,
yes.
My issue with gun ownership is that I don't think gun ownership is consistent in each state. I feel like there are different background checks that are required depending on the state that you live in. And I think it causes issues not only with what you said, with what you said is going on currently, but amongst like gun owners themselves. I think that's why like gun ownership is very controversial.
Yeah.
Where like you have states like New York, California, Illinois, where the gun laws are very extreme against ownership, and states like Florida and Texas and Georgia, where gun ownership is more freewheeling. What I will say is that there is a negative perception amongst people in this country against gun owners. And I don't think that that's fair, because every time we read or watch the news and we see something about gun violence they're immediately thinking, let's take people's guns away.
Yeah.
I think what needs to happen is there need to be some more stringent background checks, and there needs to be some type of mental health check on people who own guns. And I'm completely okay with people owning 100 guns if they want.
Yeah.
But you just need to make sure that gun ownership is going into the right hands. I mean, take, for example, the kid who tried to assassinate Trump.
Yeah. I mean, but this was always the dilemma. Like, do I disagree with both of you? No. I do think we can do more, but it comes to that weird part of me where I'm like, okay, but how much more do I want the government to be in control of me? Right. And like the thing about mental health, for instance, mental health is a sliding scale sometimes. Some days we're all perfectly fine. Some days we're batshit crazy. But I do agree with, the concept of it, but I think my biggest fear is it's a very, very slippery slope. Case in point, right now, one party runs the government. Well, when the other party takes over, do we want them to have the same ability to do whatever they want? And that's the way, like, I always think of it like my rights versus the government. And that's how everyone, I think, should think about it, because at the end of the day, the social contract we enter into is giving up a little bit of our rights for the government, for the government to, govern. I don't want to give up anything more than the most minimal amount. And that's like always my thing. So when you talked about like the gun ownership in different states, right? I think one of the reasons I went to California a few years ago, I think, what was it, like maybe 2021?
Yeah, you
were still there.
No, I was in New York at the time. When you went out to visit California, I was that was when I was in New York.
So look,
because I was bi-coastal.
When I went to Cali, right? The one thing I really like, it was the one time in my life, like I actually wanted to. I don't really conceal carry as often as people may think I do here in Florida. And why? Because I'm generally pretty safe. I'm either home where I have my guns. I have guns with me in the office. When I'm here by myself, I have guns with me in the car. But when I was in California, it was the one time that I actually did want to possess and carry my firearm with me. Why? Because I had, my now wife, and then I had my son with me. And we were, going and doing tourist things. And the amount of homelessness that was rampant there was kind of scary for a family, right? Like, I felt a little weird taking him places, but I also, like me, I like to push my limits a little bit. So like this was right when that Hotel Cecil documentary came out. And I needed to see the place, dude. I needed to see the Hotel Cecil. Well, I didn't realize it was like right in Skid Row.
Yeah, right in the heart of Skid Row, actually.
I went.
Like not too far away, yeah.
I went, and I don't give a shit. And we definitely were like, yo, this is not a good idea. But it was really that point where I was like, I really felt like, there should be never a time that I traveled throughout the United States of America and I feel like I should not, I really want my gun because I don't feel safe. And that's one thing that I did feel while I was in California.
Los Angeles look, for me, now being, now having moved back to Florida and having spent many years in both New York and LA, those are two really great cities, especially for culture, but they both have issues with transient people, and a lot of those transient people are homeless. Now, whether or not they're a risk to you, it shouldn't matter, right? But I think that what you're saying, I feel like I do agree with you. I think like it, when you do walk around certain areas of Skid Row, or like any sort of like area in general where homelessness is kind of rampant, you do want to protect yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, you would want to protect yourself. I used to volunteer in Skid Row, actually. I remember my very first when I.
What's your wildest Skid Row memory?
Well, you know what?
What were you doing there?
Well, when I had first moved to LA in 2015, I wanted to just explore the city. My only exposure to Los Angeles at this point was from a video game called Grand Theft Auto 5.
Oh, yeah, dude.
Wow.
I literally, but it's funny, man. It just goes to show you, like, that's another conversation to have, like, how realistic games can be, because I just gotten done beating it. And I went out to LA and I was like, oh, wow, like, I feel like I've been in this city before.
Yeah, this is where my penthouse is.
Yeah, exactly. But no, I went out there and I wanted to explore the city, and I really just wanted to get a feel of it. So I decided to volunteer with a few groups that work with the homeless around Los Angeles. And to give you guys context, I had never been out to California, let alone Los Angeles, before. When I tell you, it was a complete and utter eye-opening and shell-shocking experience to be exposed to Skid Row for the first time. That's like an understatement, because it's literally like a third world country. For 3 blocks, it's literally living in what you would immediately assume being a third world country within central downtown LA. Tents everywhere, feces on the floor, and here we were handing out paper lunch bags and supplies to the homeless, and they literally just swarm you, just taking stuff.
You know what that made me think of? Remember the part in Scary Movie where she was like, I asked for $1, not a sandwich, bitch, and he threw
yeah, but that's how they are. I mean, look, like I don't think that they're not grateful for a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, but it's like, look, like, a lot of these people, they're addicted to drugs, they have mental health issues. So that was like a huge eye-opening experience to me. Because with as much money as Los Angeles, as you find out that they put toward the homelessness issue, it's only gotten worse over the years. But segueing back to gun ownership, yes, like, if you're walking around an area like that, you do want to be able to defend yourself.
Well, and going to the underlying issue is, look, I think rather than the state of California, the thing that really irritated me about when I went to California is, like, it's one of the wealthiest, it's literally as wealthy as some countries in the world. It's got like a major amount of money that runs through it.
It's a huge economic driver for the United States.
But my biggest thing is, why in such a prosperous state, why is there so much homelessness? Because that's the one thing, like, what really, it made, like, I'll sit down and think about weird when I'm driving in places, and, like, I remember driving through Skid Row and seeing someone put a little padlock on their tent, and I was like, this is just pathetic that you have a state that has this much money. Literally, we have Hollywood, Beverly Hills, you have all these Gucci, Prada, all this Rodeo Drive, and they literally allow people to live like that. The beautiful thing about Florida, say what you want, Florida man is Florida man, and we are crazy, we are wild, we have alligators that we keep as pets, we do wild, but I don't drive down the street and see homeless encampments, which is something that I like, especially having a family.
I think the homelessness issue has become prevalent in a state like California because the weather is what made me stay out in LA for as long as I was. It's got the best weather year round of any place that I've visited across the US. And I think based off of that alone, it makes being transient like a lot easier. But I do agree with Mike, like, it's a very, very wealthy state. And you would think that with as progressive as the values are, in a state like California, especially Los Angeles itself and San Francisco, is another example, that the issue wouldn't be as widespread as it is, but they just haven't been able to combat it in any meaningful way.
You have any California stories?
No.
No California stories?
No, I don't really travel much.
We got to take you to Skid Row.
Oh God, please.
Let me
no.
let me tell you something.
Y'all are gonna leave me there like Hunger Games, like we're dropping you off.
I promise you, if you come out with us, the last place we will take you is to Skid Row, because
you're gonna go on.
I'm trusting
Mike's,
Josh. I don't know.
No, you have to let me be your tour guide. You'll see everywhere Fast and the Furious was filmed. You'll see.
Mike's goal as a tour guide is to make you as miserable as possible and to just laugh at what your reactions are.
I saw the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air house. I saw the American Horror Story house. I saw the place where Brian O'Connor got his tuna sandwich. Fast and Furious.
Oh, okay.
I saw the restaurant right after my favorite race scene from Fast and Furious with the Ferrari and the Supra. Best race scene in the world. Love that movie. R.I.P. my boy Paul Walker. But yeah, going back to like what we were initially talking about.
Sensible gun laws. I think ultimately all it comes down to is I think everybody here believes in sensible gun ownership. You are a gun owner. You own multiple guns. I have no issue with that. I think people should be able to own as many guns, as they want. But when we talk about sensible gun ownership, I think that that's where the pushback happens on both sides, because liberals and conservatives have their own ideas of what sensible gun ownership looks like.
Gotcha.
And until we're able to kind of figure that out, I think it's going to be a hot topic. I mean, it's been a hot topic since I think the inception of the country. So
another big area that has a lot of proposed changes is the immigration system. You talked about appointees. Did you see who they appointed as the immigration or the border czar?
No.
Yeah.
Tell them about him.
Well, yeah. Hornan, he's someone that Trump, I know, loves because he's very, very, him and I believe Stephen Miller, they're two people that are well known to be very, very, very on top of deportations. And I think, you can do a deep dive on it where they, I don't want to say that they were for separating families at the border, but it's kind of leaning, in that direction. So
yeah,
Mike's face, he's like,
So I watched a little bit of like the I don't know his name. What is it? Horland?
Hornan,
yeah.
Whatever.
But I saw some of the interviews of him, and that guy scares the living shit out of me. Like, literally, it was funny. I was watching Fox and Friends and the Gutfield Report, and they were talking about how, like, if you look at his face, he looks like he'll deport citizens.
oh God.
And you hear the way he talks about this. He was grilled by Congress on the issues of separating families and so on and so forth, and in the past, and they like grilled the shit out of him on it. And he was very like straight up. He was like, listen, when I was a cop, I think this is verbatim what he said. When I was a cop and I pulled someone over for a DUI, I separated that father from their family, and I guess his premise was like, look, they're breaking a law by coming here illegally. They're, basically opening up the doors. Like, they got to understand, if you walk through the country and you come here illegally, well, this is what you dealt with.
Well, look, I'm tripping over my words because I want to be very careful with what I say. That was an interview that I watched as well.
Yeah.
And, I want to think that the appointees themselves, number one, they want to do what's best for the country, but two, that there's also a sense of humanity in the decisions that they're making. And while I do understand that train of thought, When you have a family traveling, sometimes like 1,000 miles to the border, to the border of the U.S., trying to cross over, looking for a better opportunity.
A lot of times seeking political asylum.
I think it's a very, very touchy subject. And I think look, at the end of the day, it's all about us being human beings. And I don't think that the way that it's being talked about is seeing the humanity, in all of these people. So,
and I mean, we all have family that either immigrated here at some point or, none of us have been here, for the past 200 years, right? All our families have come from other countries. So I think for us, it's like one of those things where I look at the past struggles of my family to get here legally. And, I definitely understand why even people that are here that came legally, they get mad about illegal immigration. But I think the underlying issue is, yes, we need to treat people humanely, right? There's a lot of people that have come here, started families, and they are productive citizens. We need to deal with that. But we also need to curtail people kind of skipping the system, because there's a lot of legal ways to come to the United States, whether it's employment visas, whether it's through marriage, whatever it is. There's so many ways. And we handle, at Kraken, we handle legal ways for people to come here. But we also deal with people that came here illegally, right? And there's some times that we have to tell people look, you may have to go back. And then the problem is a lot of people don't understand is if you don't go back, the laws that are currently in place can actually prevent you from coming back for a minimum of 10 years if you overstay certain visas and so on and so forth. So I think right now is a really, really important time that people that are dealing with immigration in particular reach out to lawyers that can really help you navigate the current laws that are in place. Because when the new laws come in and when these changes are made, it's a whole different ballgame, and none of us know what they're going to be yet.
I am really happy you actually said that, because seeing firsthand how these immigration cases are handled, if you are an immigrant coming from another country, the first thing you should do is try to do it legally.
Yeah.
Is try to find representation or find somebody that is knowledgeable about the legal process, because that is what the touchiness comes from the fact that you have a lot of these people coming in illegally. But had they done it if they had done it the right way from the very beginning, they wouldn't be running into these issues, and we wouldn't be talking about mass deportations. And an example that I kind of want to give, which is interesting, is it's sort of like students who've paid off their student loans complaining about all of these other people who are having their loans forgiven, right? Immigrants that have done the process the right way, they feel a certain type of way of people just coming over and claiming asylum, and all of a sudden getting these quote unquote benefits, from the government. So of course, they have this perspective of why are these people getting to come in and not doing it the right way? And I've had to pay the penalty all these years to get my green card process, done, in the right way.
Yeah.
And the most important thing is they need to do this to protect themselves.
Yes.
It's not like we're getting anything out of it. The American government isn't really getting anything out of deporting these people either.
They're not.
You're only harming yourself by not, seeking some type of help to do it legally.
Yeah, and when you seek help to do it legally, be careful going to these document preparers. I'm not saying all of them are bad. There's a lot of people that know how to look. These are documents that technically you don't need a lawyer to fill out sometimes. But let me tell you the benefit of having a lawyer versus a quote unquote document preparer. Anyone can write words on a piece of paper. But the difference behind someone that prepares a document that you pay $500 to versus a lawyer like myself that you're going to pay a minimum of $5,000 to, guess what? I have a law license that I want to keep, and I want to make sure I'm going to do everything possible to keep. So what does that mean? Number one, I have an incentive to do the best possible job I can for you. Number two, I know how to legally go through the process and evaluate the law and apply the law with your facts, because every fact is different. Every single case is different. There's people that come from countries where they were, like threatened and killed or raped or something. There's a lot of things that change your facts. So someone that just knows how to write down words on a paper can't do it the way we lawyers can. Number three, the most important thing that I think of all is we actually practice law. Like, we have the license to practice law. And what some of these document preparers do, I see it in family law cases all the time as well. They'll say, oh, just fill this document out and take it in and submit it. And then good luck, we'll see. But if you screw that up, guess what? You just submitted a document to the federal government they're going to keep forever. And then when you come to us as the lawyer, when the document preparer, you screw it up, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to wax you for 2 times the money. Why? Because you should have known better, and you should have just stopped being cheap and went and got a lawyer and done it the right way for the first time. Not saying all the document preparers are bad. There are a lot of good ones out there that we've reviewed their work and it's been okay. But 9 times out of 10, we always have to make some sort of change or alteration to documents that are prepared by other people, even by the people themselves, because you guys just don't know. People just don't know the law.
Well, Farah, you can touch upon this, right? Because I think a lot of times when people are coming into the country, they're only thinking that there's one way. And there are a wide array of different visas, right? The L1, the H1B. So give us some context for that.
I mean, for example, I got married. So my husband, we just applied for him for a marriage visa once he got here. And the process honestly didn't take that long once we submitted the paperwork. It does help that he's an Irish citizen, and it's not like, a country that's like war torn or something, even though we're both of Pakistani descent. That would have taken much longer. I know a lot of people from Pakistan that don't see a green card for many years, and he got his within 6 months.
But one of the things is, like, you utilize, well, number one, you're definitely, more than most people, but
right.
even
so
you
I was
still,
privy to the process from the get. I knew exactly all of the paperwork I needed, everything to get everything through. But that's just to say that if you are about to go through that process, at least look into it. You know what I mean? I understand a lot of times people don't have that option because, again, they're from like a war torn country or they're from a third world country that, they just want to leave. But then, okay, once you get here, try and find some type of resource that's going to help you.
Screw that. You have the internet. You can literally get online and look up lawyers and reach out to us. Yeah. With the beautiful thing about technology, the beautiful thing about the internet is if you can literally WhatsApp us, email us, call us. Like, you can go to our website and fill out an inquiry in your native language and we'll translate that. And you can get the legal representation for your situation.
I speak Urdu and Hindi.
And to add to what you guys are both saying, one thing that I've read a lot about is how much these traffickers charge these people to come across the border. Yeah. So if you're in Venezuela or you're in Mexico, any of these countries in Central America or South America, these families are sometimes paying $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 to get trafficked across the border. And you could literally just pay legal counsel to take care of that process legally and avoid all of the issues at the border itself.
Yeah, and there's things you can do, like literally, like there's education visas, there's work visas, there's all sorts of shit you can do legally. Where you literally just have to spend the money and get legal counsel. And talking to a lawyer that knows the process, that knows the current laws, the immigration laws change actively. With every administration, the laws change. So, this is something where it pays, rather than putting your life at risk, your health at risk, and your safety at risk through trafficking or being trafficked, human trafficked. Yeah. It's better to just spend that money. And I know a lot of people don't understand. Like, we're lawyers. Yes, we're going to benefit. We're going to make money off of it. But you're also going to benefit by getting competent like legal counsel. And as long as you get a lawyer that's not, shady, which, I try not to be shady or come off as shady. Like, I know that's something a shady lawyer would say, but I promise you, I'm not a shady lawyer. That's also something a shady lawyer would say. Whatever.
But there's nothing exploitative that comes from an attorney representing you, whereas being trafficked, you're being exploited.
Yeah,
so that therein lies a pretty hefty difference.
Well, yeah. Look, ultimately, at the end of the day, you're paying for a service, right? So whatever lawyer or legal counsel you decide to go with, that should be the first option on the table.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be like the option that you approach after you've already come in. It should be the option that you approach from the very, very beginning. Because regardless, if you go to an immigration attorney, if you go to a law firm to handle the immigration process, their goal is to ultimately get you a visa or to get you a green card.
Yeah. And I invite anyone that listens to our podcast, anyone that, pays attention to anything we do, call me, call my office. I'll talk to you. I don't charge for consultations 99% of the time. Why? Because I want to give good advice. And, if I feel like I give you good advice, you're going to choose whether or not you're going to retain me to give you a good service. So, look, anyone that listens to us, this is what we do. We do immigration. We do family law. We do auto accidents. We do these things. This is what we do, and we enjoy doing it.
Another thing I will say, you don't have to go with the first attorney that you meet. Yeah. You don't have to go with the first person you meet. Get a bunch of consultations, get a bunch of advice, and stick with someone that you feel comfortable with, because this is your life that they're dealing with.
Yeah, attorneys are like cars, man. Take them for a test drive. Talk to them. And some of them, you got to pay for a consultation. But listen, if they're not willing to give you a little bit of free advice and they're going to charge you for every single second of their time, that goes to show you just what you are to them. You're just a number to them. That's one thing we try not to do. We try not to treat people like numbers. I try to treat people like people. So on the last topic, let's talk something totally different, but still yet the same. Let's talk about our boy Tekashi 6ix9ine.
Our boy Tekashi 6ix9ine.
Speaking of numbers as people.
Snitches.
Yeah, Farah, I'm going to let you handle this one.
Basically, we all already know that Tekashi's a snitch. He was charged for racketeering, and he went to jail for that for, I believe, 2 years. And after that, it was supposed to be supervised or like probation for 5 years. He violated his probation 1 month early. He would have been done with 5 years of probation for bootleg Adderall.
What? Dude.
Bootleg Adderall. I don't even know but is it like ashwagandha? Like what?
You know he's going through it when he can't even afford the real
No, you know why? There's a nationwide shortage of Adderall and Vyvanse, and I know this because I was prescribed it, and I haven't been able to get it. I've called 20 pharmacies, so you know what?
Jesus Christ.
I mean, that's kind of what you have to do. But listen, Tekashi he doesn't get any pass for this. He's going through it just like the rest of America is on this Adderall shortage.
As weirdly as this is about to get, let's talk about what we were talking about when we started this.
Oh my goodness. No.
Meek Mill is distancing himself from his boy Diddy. Now, a little bit of context. The video we were going to play that I'm probably not going to play.
No.
Please don't play.
It was pretty bad.
We are not going to play that video.
But I want to.
Jose, don't play the video. Don't.
There was the video that we all heard, and it was supposedly a video of Meek Mill getting his cheeks clapped by Diddy. And we're talking. So look, everyone on the internet, I don't know if this is true. I don't know, but 50 Cent supposedly leaked it.
Which is very on brand for him.
It's very, very on brand for 50.
And if 50 did it, like, look, that's one thing. I will take anything 50 says pretty strictly, because like he knows lawyers, he knows lawsuits. Like, I don't think Meek Mill sued him for anything yet.
I gotta say, man, 50, I've always been a big fan. I never want to get on your bad side. ever.
We love you, 50.
Because this guy is the ultimate troll.
I drink vitamin water.
I mean, if you get on his bad side, like you're done. Like he shows no mercy. He shows no mercy.
I mean, many men wish death upon him.
Yeah, that
club.
That audio clip scarred me. It threw off that first. It threw off that first subject we were discussing.
We didn't know what to do with ourselves. We were just like, wait, really?
I know.
This is how we're gonna
I know.
start?
Look, to give everybody context at home, Mike is playing a video or playing audio of someone's cheeks getting clapped, and then we segue into talking politics, and then I can't even remember people's names. You know.
No, you just put on your headphones and all of a sudden you're like,
yeah, I put on my headphones and I'm like, what the are we listening to right now?
Well, look, so Meek Mill has seemingly been deflowered.
I can't.
So look, he's distancing himself from Diddy, and his tweets
he got
are
too
hilarious.
close.
Yeah, way
clearly
way too close. Kind of like that song by Mace. Was it Mace?
No, that's Next.
Next. That was a good song.
I don't know. I think looking at it from, an outside perspective, it's got to be tough being somebody that has been within Diddy's social circle for as long as they've been, because now you've kind of opened up Pandora's box to being exposed to news stories like this coming out and people basically believing it at face value, and look, whether it's true or not, whether it's just like a clip that somebody put together to showcase him in a bad light, for somebody like him, hip hop artist, of course, look, like, you want to be as masculine of a presence as possible. A fake video clip or real, or regardless of whether it's real or fake, but a fake video clip floating around the internet of like your cheeks getting clapped doesn't establish or
it's almost as bad
provide
as
that argument for you.
Stop. It's almost as bad as hearing freak off.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Well, so here's the legal spin on this, right? Now, what do you guys think? I am not aware of any lawsuits that Meek Mill has filed for defamation of any sort. And what one of the defenses to defamation are truth. So my legal head, my brain is telling me we have a video, we have evidence of cheeks being clapped, right? And we have video evidence of cheeks being clapped. We do not have a cease and desist letter nor a legal lawsuit that's public record indicating that cheeks have not been clapped.
I'm going to tell you why.
Let's go.
50 did not name him. He said Nicki Minaj's ex from Philly. He did not specifically name, he didn't even say Nicki Minaj's ex. He said someone who used to date Nicki Minaj, who is also from Philly. So he did not name him.
But I would still.
He named him without naming him.
But that's the Johnny Depp defense.
Yeah, I would still try to file. Like at that point, it's like, yo, at least if I'm throwing $5,000 away just to get a lawsuit filed to get dismissed by 50 Cent.
But wouldn't it also be drawing attention to it?
It would be drawing attention to it.
Saying that, there is merit to this.
I would much rather people have attention drawn to me saying my cheeks were not clapped than actually hearing that my cheeks were clapped and me saying nothing. But no, that wasn't me.
I feel like people just like clowning on Meek Mill, though.
They do.
So that's
they do
why,
like clowning on him.
Like even before, like Drake and Meek had beef too. So it was just like, if he retaliates so much, everyone already knows. Like,
let me premise it. Let me say this, right? If someone goes up to you and was like, so I don't even want to tell this story, but I'm going to, right? So I was in the presence of two people. I'm not going to say any names. I was in the presence of two people where they were arguing with one another. And one of the people went and said, "Well, that's why you ate my ass." In my head, I think about this shit all the time. And in my head, like the person's like, "No, I don't." But I'm like, wait a minute. Even though you said no, I don't. It's a lot to make that jump from arguing to be like, that's why you ate my ass, right?
How the tides of this conversation have turned.
But that's what I'm saying, dude.
But it's not like he's arguing with Diddy. It's an issue with him and 50 then.
But he's not addressing it. So literally.
Yeah, but
like,
exactly what you're saying.
In the news
if
article
he addresses
we saw,
it, everyone's like, well, everyone already said.
In the news article on Apple News, they reported Meek Mill's ate his ass.
What?
That was in the news article.
No.
That's literally what I saw. Or maybe it was another video. But this is all listen.
No, I think you're thinking of World Star Hip Hop.
I don't think Apple
I don't
News.
know.
I don't
dude.
think you're thinking of Apple News. I think
Apple
you're thinking
News,
of
please
World
don't.
Star Hip Hop. But no, look, all jokes aside, I actually agree with Farah on this. I think had he or if he files a lawsuit against 50, you're calling more attention to it. And I think when something as outlandish as this comes out, you leave it up to the general public to decide on whether or not it's real. But I think because he's been clowned on so much prior, it's something that people will just immediately kind of gravitate toward as like as low hanging fruit.
We poll the audience right now. How many people think Meek Mill got his cheeks clapped? Leave a comment. Out of the three of us, I think he got his cheeks clapped. Farah, what's your vote?
I don't know.
I mean,
Josh.
The problem is the video.
Come on. So just make 3 out of 3 believe Mill.
And the only reason the only reason I have to lean toward this is because there are videos of like him hanging out with Diddy in the pool.
Hey, what's up, King Son? Man, you doing it, man. You deserve it, Daddy. You putting in that work. Proud of you. I love you. Yeah.
No, and it's also because I think it happened with a lot more people. And I'm not saying that he wanted it. I'm just saying that it's plausible that it happened.
The diddler diddled.
He diddles.
What do you think is going on with Diddy right now? Do you think that as time goes on, a lot more of like these types of news are gonna come out? Do you think it's just?
I think it's starting to dwindle down a little bit, but you're gonna see your little spikes. It's gonna spike every now and then. But until we get the videos released that the government has, until the evidence is out, man, I think Diddy's kind of fading away. But like, it's stupid because I saw even like his son is like taking over his Instagram and posting positivity. Bro, your father positively beat the shit out of.
It's better than him posting himself, like we were discussing with Rajan.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, look, just shut the up, stay offline. Like especially the son. I think the son's being investigated too. So.
Oh yeah.
But anyway, I think that wraps it, man.
What a subject to end it with. Well, hey.
What episode is this, Josh?
I think this is like 12 or 13.
Hey, man, this was
wow.
Yeah, we've been.
This is awesome, man. And big shout out to Josh. If you look at our episode 1 to our current episodes and the production value that Josh has been putting into this thing, amazing. This is just Josh and I own a business together, and we do this as well, and alongside the law firm. I own the law firm, but the business that Josh and I, we does all the marketing for the law firm and hosts this podcast. Josh, you do an amazing job in the short time that we've been doing this and having Farah on. I mean, it's been amazing, bro. So like big shout out to Josh.
I love you, bro. Thank you so much. Thanks for being a great business partner. Jotnar Media, everybody. Thank you to Farah for, being such a great presence on the podcast. She's like the perfect calming energy for both of us. And look, shout out to Jose.
Great employee
for the law firm. And again, Jose, thanks for all the work that you do on the back end for us as well. And look, if you guys like what you see and you enjoy the randomness of the topics that we bring up, please subscribe, share the podcast. And if you have any suggestions on what you'd like covered in the future, leave them in the comments below. And until next time.
Peace.